All right, Esper approach. So, as many have watched this channel, if you watched the channel before, you know I'm not a huge fan of control decks that basically just mope around and don't actually end the game. So Approach the Second Sun is one of the best ways for these white-based control decks to actually close out in Pioneer here. So Approach the Second Sun is 7 mana sorcery that says, if this was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, you gain 7 life, and this tucks itself 7 cards down into your deck. So is a way to buffer our life total against aggressive decks and then also allow us an avenue to closing the game out. The rest of this deck is just Esper control. Censor, Fatal Push, Murderous Rider, Dovin's Veto, Search for Azcanta, Supreme Verdict, just like good control cards that exist in this format. Hey, so many birds. Thanks for the 3-month resub. I appreciate the quarter of a year. Welcome back. Happy Thursday. One thing you'll note is that this build is not playing Thought Seize or Thought Erasure. We had played an iteration of Esper Approach that played the discard spells prior, and I didn't really feel like they were a good angle for the deck to be attacking from. If you didn't see that, you can catch it on my YouTube channel and my website. So today, we're going to play this variation that's mostly just splashing black for hard removal, which does serve to solve a problem that traditional blue-white control has in this format, which is that the white removal spells tend to be a little bit mediocre. Pop on into a Pioneer League here once I figure out what's going on with infinite selections here. Hey, happy holidays, Jackie. Thanks for the 12 months. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. The infinite selections are all the things that should be on Arena. You're not wrong. Easy mulligan here. This hand's not exciting, but I'm pretty sure it's a keep. I'm going to bottom... I guess I bottom Verdict. If they're playing a creature deck, I'm going to be sad I did that, but if they're playing like a control deck, I'd rather have Approach than the second Verdict. Hey, Dystopia. Thanks for the 37 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Perfect. Speaking of folks that are looking for that Hoaglandia fix, I tweeted yesterday and posted in the subs Discord, but thanks for the biddies. Sounds perfect, Y6. Get that one added in there. We should be getting through to submissions relatively quickly over the next week. I'm going to be taking tomorrow off to get prepared and charged up, but then starting on Saturday, I'm going to be doing 7 days in a row of 8+ hours a day. My plan is to do 3 Pioneer and then 3 Arena decks every single day, starting on Saturday through the following Friday. So if you've got Pioneer submissions, get them in. We should get to them relatively quickly. After today, I'm planning to do like 21 Pioneer decks over the next week or so. Boss is making me work overtime. I don't know, making me is a strong word. Allowing me to would probably be a better descriptor. My schedule's been a bit light, not only around Christmas this week, but just with other stuff I've had going on, so having an excuse to go ham is nice. Having the time to go ham, I guess I should say. Old Shambles. Is this the part of the game where we lose because they have castle and we don't? It feels like the part of the game where we die to this castle activating a bunch. Yeah, we'll see how the timing works out around the Theros release. You think I want to play that? Think I'm just supposed to jam this because I don't want them to sit here and make tokens. So if I bounce this, they make a token and kill Teferi. So I think I just plus some pass here. Sounds good, Magar. Yeah, this is definitely a matchup where the third color's not stellar, right? Chromium will be okay post board, but a majority of the black cards we're splashing for are not relevant in this matchup, not even a little. Fainted, thanks for the tip. Ooh. For adding green Stompy to the queue, sounds great. So, I think we just plus here and then shock in this land. Howdy, Naya. Good morning. Lemunsv, thank you for the 7 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Hopefully this approach the second sun just lets us win the game very handily. I was going to let Teferi go to 1 here and cast Approach at their end step. And then next turn, Teferi can plus and Verdict to clean these tokens out. And we just gotta, stay alive until we get back to the approach. Hey, G. Miller, thanks for the 25 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Second Murderous Rider's on a terrible pickup. This Teferi card seems pretty good versus control decks. He's not bad. There's a reason why I added max numbers of Teferi to this deck submission. Sure. So now the tricky part will be resolving the second copy of Approach. Teferi isn't winning this game, it's the London Mulligan. Yes, the London Mulligan is what's wrong. I mean, to be fair, we're also ahead this game because our opponents missed a bunch of land drops. It definitely hasn't been helpful for them. Nice, not famous. Yeah, it was a pretty good set. The second deck we played ended up being quite excellent. Don't mind me, just making land drops. It's slow, honest work, but Shambling Vent's gonna do it. Alright, seven more hits, little Vent. I believe in you. I believe in this Murderous Rider. What an excellent draw. That's really good, isn't it, chat? How many cards down is our approach at this point? I don't know. I cast Approach the second sun on their turn 8. It's now my turn 11, and I drew 1 extra card. So 8, so 9, 10, 11. I believe we're 3 cards down. When we draw, the approach doesn't really matter here, just because, like, we're not going to be jamming it right away. We need to, like, get ourselves set back up, like, with a Teferi or something else. Opponent kept the card with Search for Azcanta, but they also missed their land drop. So that's interesting. Veto's a great draw. Veto is the type of thing we're looking to pick up here. Veto's, Teferi's, Anguished Unmakings. These are a few of my favorite things. Hey, Mancy. Happy Thursday. So, we don't really care about that one because we can just Murderous Rider it next turn, right? I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on a Fatal Push here. Just spend my mana. We'll double Rider here. I think this is fine. If they want to burn a counterspell to protect this, that would be great. Huh? Just keep it on here. Happy holidays, Farsight. So they can flip their search for Azcanta next turn, which is a little bit scary. Arcanian, thanks for these 16 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. That got an absorb out of them. Well, that's good for us. Hopefully they spend some mana on a non-Teferi Time Raveler card this turn, and we get to just, like, approach with Veto up next turn and win the game. Oh, they've been to Zuria's Charm, sure. Okay, so Hero of Dominaria here means they're going to get to... They're going to get to have 2 counterspells up this turn. How much mana total here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, with Drown in the Loch drawn, do I wait one more turn to try and jam? Because with Drown in the Loch, I have 2 counter spells, right? The problem here is if I don't jam, they get to have Azcanta the Sunken Rune up. What counter spells these blue-white decks usually play main? If they have Veto, it just doesn't matter. And that's gonna be their 2 mana. Their 2 mana card anyways, right? Their 2 mana counter if they have one. So random blue-white control deck I'm looking at has only 1 Veto and 4 absorbs, and then commit to memory. Hey, Sultai, thanks for the brand new Prime support. There's a lot of great people you can send that to every single month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending it my way this month. I think we just jam. I think this point where they don't have double absorb up is our best chance to have this happen. And like, if they have absorb plus Veto, Veto's gonna happen anyways, right? Yeah. This cuts them off and Azcanta activation by making them do this. I do think it's important for me to wait to Murderous Rider until after, until I can counterspell with it. No, I don't think I Rider this turn, because if I Rider and they have an Absorb, the game just, like, ends on the spot. Which is not ideal. I'm gonna drown this. I wanna use this drown before they delve their bin. Just some dig through times, I think. Drown at least showing nicely that it's flexible. Hey, I'm glad you enjoyed the YouTube stuff. Thanks for supporting my content and keeping me here making things. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Well, if they dig could only exile 6 cards, Maven Mag, so that's why I chose to use the Drown in the Loch there, because there were 9 cards in their discard pile, so if they dug delving 6, my Drown was still countering their Narset. We also don't know that they have a dig, but even if they did have a dig, my card was still going to counter their thing there. In non-legacy formats, you are allowed to rearrange your graveyard. There are some really old cards in Magic's history that get dictated by the order of your graveyard what they do, so you can't rearrange in formats where those cards are legal. There's a good chance we're just dead to the search for Azcanta. If we get fortunate and find our other approach, maybe we could win this, but we're pretty far behind at this point. It's clock damage all in this matchup. Yeah, technically. If I'm on the strictly play to win line, at this point I should just play quickly and make them kill me. I'm currently down a minute on clock. I don't know. I think I should probably just institute a rule where I just auto-concede this matchup regardless of what I'm playing. It's just really tedious, and I like to try and keep decks under 2 hours, and like, whenever we play this matchup out, it like, takes almost an hour sometimes, which is often half of the time I've allotted for a deck. And like, win, lose, or otherwise, it's kind of a miserable match of Magic. I don't even know that we're behind here, but I'm definitely bored. There's an Evergreen Spoilers command here. Feel free to enjoy. Right, Anguished Unmaking could potentially be good. Instead of me telling you you're wrong, tell me why you're right. Tell me what the math says. Whenever questions about mana base come up, just do the math and say, Jeff, I did the math, and mathematically speaking, you can do this. And then show me why that's an appropriate thing to do. They have a really hard time winning the game. That's not really true when we can't interact with their castle. My sequencing error is technically incorrect. I should have waited for them to resolve this dig before getting my Teferi back. So that way they don't know that this is coming back out. Mastermind's acquisition is too slow and dirtily for this format. This format's slower and more forgiving than Modern, but it's not pay 4 extra mana to cast a card slow, generally speaking. I think Fae of Wishes is fine. That's a card we've played in the blue-white approach build, but that card's only okay because it's able to have a text box when you're playing an aggressive matchup. This card actually doesn't have text right now. I honestly don't know how Field goes in with regards to mana base. It's a colorless land. It does not cast your spells. One of my favorite decks in Pioneer. Now, you can always find my favorite decks up on my website. There's a big button that says Pioneer Decks on the main navigation. All of my favorites get deck pages up there. Well, thanks for the 16 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. And again, when we started losing this game, I was down a minute on clock. Once I realized I was losing and just started playing quickly, I'm now up a minute on clock. And again, this is why this board I should. Does anybody really? Did Twitch eat my sub notice? No love for Bezo Bucks. God, people are so silly. Did Twitch eat my sub notification? This is my thanks for the 2 months. Don't be silly. I'm gonna be done with this match. It's just not fun. We're gonna be. I'm not gonna play the blue-white control matchups anymore. I'm just gonna skip them. Even when we win, they're really long and tedious. So. It's just not fun. Regardless of what we're playing, I like walk away from it being like, man, this sucked. Really hope that is an archetype they don't leave unchecked in this format. There's a reason why when you see me play control decks on this stream, I put a win condition in them. How competitive do you think mono green Stompy is in Pioneer? I think the green aggro decks are very reasonable in this format. Grab a swamp here, because that brings both of these lands into play untapped, which is nice. So I have both Censor and Drown in the lockup here. So if they have another discard spell, we can Drown it. If they play a 2-mana spell, we can Censor it. Black Lance Paragon, eh? Black-White Knights, neat. It's not even about tech, Jay, right? It's just not fun. Like, I play Magic to have fun, and, like, sitting there while win or lose, I feel like I've wasted my time. Huh? I'm gonna play this tap for now and just pass back. I don't want to just, like, jam Teferi and then, like, have them untap and slam like a Gideon. Yeah, and honestly, it's not even just about the time commitment it takes to play against blue-white. It's just, again, like, Shifting Ceratop's a good card. Not really. Their deck's playing a bunch of Supreme Verdicts, often Deckenstone, Blessed Alliance. Like, there isn't a one-card fix this matchup type thing. Six mana Chandra probably comes closest. But even that's not a good scene. should just let this resolve, right? Because I can destroy it in a turn. Hey, Chuki, thanks for the very generous tier 3 resub and the half a year at that. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm just gonna let myself be happy and just scoop those matchups from now on. Life's too short, chat. Life's too short. Alright, dear opponent, please don't Gideon me. History would also not be great for us. Well, I mean, all things considered, this is like the least bad of the Gideons, I suppose. Yeah, me too, Marty. It reminds me a lot of the Nexus matchup. Even when we're the one that's getting the W, it just felt like, why did I spend my time doing this? Yeah, and again, Naya, there are ways to attack the blue-white control deck, but even when you're well-suited to attack them, it just isn't fun, in my opinion. It's not something that I walk away from with a satisfied experience. Even when your matchup is good there, like, it often isn't fun for me, and it takes an hour. It's like real bad use of the time overall. I mean, hate cards wouldn't really change anything. Having cards like Choke in the format wouldn't fundamentally change the blue-white deck on the slightest, like, not. Especially because of some of the cards you listed, like Teferi. Scrounger. Rough. We might be dead. It's always weird to me when you talk about things being tedious or medium. People's solution to those things are like, what if we put even more tedious cards into the format? You know, I need to be blue-eye control. We need Blood Moon and Choke. Just like, oh god, please no. Please no Blood Moon and no Choke. Don't do it. Merry Christmas, Name it chill. Yeah, and again, like, my problem in general with that style of deck isn't that it exists, it's that it exists and it doesn't win the game. Like, the blue-white control deck as it's constructed in Pioneer is just what I would refer to as the king of garbage time. Like, that deck has won the game long before the game ever actually ends. Like, the amount of time it spends winning once it's actually won is just really long. Which is why, most of the time, when you see me playing cards like this, in the control decks that I play here on stream. So, didn't find a Supreme Verdict against the aggro deck, died very quickly and horribly. It's about what you expect. I expect this opponent to have history. So normally Teferi Time Raveler's not stellar against aggressive decks, but I expect this opponent to have history of Benalia, which makes Teferi's down tick like a pseudo removal spell. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave all 4 copies of him in here. Sure. Yeah, Teferi does make Blackline's Paragon marginally worse. Part of the problem too is that, like, good game design, in my opinion, should encourage people to play win conditions. So, like, part of the problem with these blue-white decks, the way they're playing with basically no real win conditions is that, like, they've printed cards that allow them to ignore those types of cards. So, like, if they sculpted the format in a way, the goal should be to sculpt Pioneer in a way where players are encouraged and rewarded for playing cards that end the game. Should be the goal. Should play them because you want to, not because you're like, this format's tedious without them. Hey, good morning, Brian. Thanks for the biddies. Ryan's okay here. The Snight of Grace is a little bit annoying until we find a Supreme Verdict. Yeah, Teferi self-tuck is one of the problems with the archetype overall. I agree with that assessment. The fact that it is a card advantage engine that also is incidentally a very tedious win condition is an issue. Yeah, that's what Approach the Second Sun is, Dig. Approach the Second Sun is a slow but inevitable combo win. Yeah, I think Field of the Dead is the one Pioneer banning we've had so far that I don't find myself fully agreeing with. I've liked a lot of what they've done to manage this format so far to date, but was not a huge fan of the Field of the Dead ban. Don't read the comments, Marty. Don't do it. There's lots of people that are terrified of change. What was the take I blocked someone for the other day on Twitter? I had someone tell me that the solution to decks like mono green ramp, which play Ugin and Ulamog, was we needed better answers like Path to Exile. Good morning. Listen, timeouts aren't a big deal around here. Think of them as we don't time out because we're mad, we're timed out because we love you. We know you can do better. N, thanks for the 20 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, Ted. Yeah, Path against Ugin and Ulamog is wild. And, like, at that point, when, like, you hear a statement like that, I just blocked that person at that point because you can't engage at that point. There's no fixing that. You're just going to be wasting your time responding. It's someone that fundamentally doesn't understand what's supposed to be going on. Ah, yes, double black card. Perfect addition to this hand. Hopefully we draw running untapped lands here. If we do that, we could be okay. Yeah, 6-mana Chandra is a good example of a card that's very good against the blue-white control decks. In fact, one of the decks in the deck queue right now that we're going to be playing with at some point in the future is a Jeskai control deck, which is essentially going to be blue-white splash 4, probably Bone Crusher and Awakened Inferno. Hey, O-Town, thanks for the 12 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, that's a design problem again, though, right, Marty? Like, people are like, well... The London Mulligan makes the good decks better, and I don't want to play good decks. Well, this is an issue that could be fixed with better card design still. Like, if instead of saying, well, the London Mulligan's the reason why the good decks are too good, what if we just balanced the game so the good decks were worse? We could do that too, right? Can you explain what the brown H next to my text block is? Something, something, Shillionaire? You mean the shield? The sub-icon? Well... So we're dead. Or actually, feels control man. Actually just dead. This is gonna get +2/+2 an attack, and I have 4 uncastable cards to search for Azcanta. Oh, magic. Who's complaining about the London Mulligan? Saffron Olive posted his umpteenth thread insinuating that the London Mulligan is the real issue with Magic. Or sorry, not saying that it's the issue, but he wasn't saying it wasn't the issue. That's what he didn't say it was the issue, but he wasn't saying it wasn't the issue. I guess I'm supposed to keep this. I don't know. I feel like if I'm mulliganing this, I'm not playing this. I shouldn't be playing this deck, but like, if they're playing creatures, I'm like just dead. Yeah, I don't know. Like, am I supposed to mulligan hands in the dark that are just like cold to creature decks? Like, what if they're playing blue-white control? It's like, have to draw Supreme Verdict and hope it's good enough here. All right, in. We have a plan. I don't know if it's a good plan, but it exists. We have Veto to cover Vivian this turn or Nissa next turn. And then we're just like hoping they're not putting themselves in a position to attack for lethal on turn 4. Hey, thanks for the quarter of a year, Solar Dragonite. I really appreciate that. Very generous tier 3 resub at that. Welcome back. To folks who are here, by the way, if you're a sub who hasn't taken the time to fill out the sub survey yet, I'd encourage you to do that before the end of Saturday. That's when I'll be closing that out for submissions. Thanks to the almost 800 people that have filled it out already. Y'all are great. So we're currently getting attacked for 11, 12, 13. So if they just have any green creature, we're dead here. Just turn 4 lethal. Snookums, thanks for the 3/4 of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back, right? Well, that's a bigger one, right? So this is 13, 14, 15. Maybe they'll forget to attack. Feels control, man. And I mean, like, this is an example of why, you know, the blue-white deck doesn't play actual win conditions, right? Like, if this card was just an answer and our plan was to win tediously with Teferi Hero of Dominaria, we'd be better off this game, right? Like, we were one removal spell away from being in that game. And like, if this had been a removal spell, we're just in a much better spot. Got these counter spells, bring in some more removal spells. Hope the family's doing better now, Blix. Thanks for the 3/4 of a year. Sir Mustache, thanks for cashing in for the 8th month. Welcome back. This is an alt win-con deck. I mean, yes. Approach the Second Sun is technically an alternative win condition. Hey, thanks for the 14 months, Lycamash. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a bunch of stuff, too. Just gonna go ahead and search for Azcanta here, because if they play a 3-drop on 2, I can crack Fabled Passage and Fatal Push it here, so I think we're fine letting this elf live to get the search for Azcanta down. If we draw an untapped land, I might also just like Teferi bounce their 3-drop. Sure. This attacks. Another target attacking creature gets +X/+X, where X is its power. Cute. Definitely bidding that. Just looking for some lands here. Supreme Verdicts, etc. I'm going to go ahead and Fatal Push this now, because they could very well be a Blossoming Defense deck. So I'd rather not get this blown out by a protection spell. 4th land's great here. Means I can time Raveler plus crack Fabled Passage and push next turn. Yeah, there's a blue-white approach deck with Fae of Wishes up on my website. Deck's felt very reasonable, has a way to actually end the game. I just got Moto, and it keeps freezing up. Feels like a vending machine that ate my dollar, except it's $10. Rough. Alright, if we're a professional, we'll draw a Supreme Verdict here. Alright. Rats. Hashtag never lucky. So we'll Teferi, bounce the human token. Crack this, Fatal Push the Lovestruck Beast. What does approach mean in the context of this deck? If you're ever wondering what we're talking about, you can always type !deck and get a direct link to the deck list. If you're on mobile, you can also click the Stream Decker icon to get the deck with mouse over card images as well. Generally speaking, I always try to make sure the deck lists, that the deck names that we're playing on stream have descriptive names. I tell you what kind of key cards are in them often. Thanks for the 3rd of a year, F Dragon. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Always do my best to make sure the information that you want is accessible here on my stream. I had 4 months of gifted subs. It's time to sub on my own. Thank you for the 5th month, Abigish. I appreciate the support. Happy holidays, all that jazz. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, no worries. I don't blame the viewers for not knowing that we have information available, generally speaking. Try not to, at least, just because I know a lot of it's not the norm for Magic streams. Hopefully we'll get to a place where that's the norm, but it's definitely more the exception than the rule. I like deck lists are updated and available in most places. Hey, Cardboard Tech, thanks for the half a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. We push the beast out the window. It's just like in the story. That's great. We blame society. It's not your fault. It's just what you were raised in. Now, the awkward part about putting the Lyra into play is she does make drawing Supreme Verdict a little bit more awkward. Although I might still just Verdict this board if I find it here. Might just like attack, gain 5, and then Verdict them. Because like, if they have a Ghalta next turn, that would be real bad. Huh? I think I'm just gonna take Verdict and Rider and just like gain 5, Verdict the board, have Murderous Rider for their follow-up, and like have Azcanta going. Just want to like make sure I don't get punked out of this game that I'm really far ahead in. Yeah, I'd bet a lot of the modern staples are down. I know they were coming down in paper too. just because Pioneer's kind of taking over. You know, based on my Hoaglandia survey, Pioneer's definitely taking over. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't expecting Pioneer to be the most popular format on my list again. I expected it on the early November survey when we did it out of cycle, just because like it was fresh and new then. It does mean you get the thing, Maestro. Wow, thanks for keeping me around. Sunshine, can you do me a favor and not time out brand new mods? It makes me have to type an extra thing. Please and thank you. Thanks for 3/4 of a year, Zet. Welcome back. Ooh. Why is Lyra the go-to sideboard for top of these control decks, flying and lifelink? Yeah, it's because Lyra is a bomb that's good against these aggro decks. So traditionally speaking, these creature decks cut any removal that they have against these control decks. So like game 1, Lyra would be exposed to removal that they have, but post-board, when they can't take Lyra off the table, she'll frequently win the game all on her own fairly quickly at that. Alright, so we've solidly entered garbage time. Our opponent can no longer win the game. We just haven't found an approach to the second sun yet, so we also can't win the game just yet. Just hanging out, waiting for a card. OP can't win but hasn't lost. We can't lose but haven't won. Yeah, it's a very apt summary of what we're currently experiencing. Gosh, as much as it hurts me to say it, the more I play with these approach decks, the more I feel like there's a reason why non-approach blue-white control has been one of the best performing decks in this format. It's not a mistake. Like, a lot of the games I feel like approach is winning for us are games that we would be winning anyways, and instead we just have this clunky 7-mana card in our deck that's occasionally costing us games. So it's probably incorrect to have approach in our deck. Modern is likely to uptick again when prices converge. I disagree with that assessment, Shame Spiral. Modern, so for a long time, Modern was popular in my opinion because it was the only accessible non-rotating format, which meant that people played, that had a lot of competitive support, which meant that people played Modern and stomached getting Troned and Valakutted and killed on turn 2 and turn 1 and all these other things. And I don't think, I know there are some people out there that enjoy or don't mind those things happening to them, but I would bet the people that really enjoy that type of gameplay are probably in the minority of Magic players. And I would be willing to bet that as Pioneer shapes up over the course of the next year, even if its price point was identical to Modern, it would still be more popular. How do we force these decks to play more win cons? I don't know, Drunk Owl. I don't know, Najah. Magic's a really complicated game. And as we often say, like, there's no substitute for hard work. So, like, is Jeskai control not worth it? And that's not really a question I have an easy answer to. The question you need to ask yourself is, like, what problem does red have? Do you have that, like, red is solving, is a question? Nice, Brian. Yeah, that's fine, Shame Spiral, but again, I would just be kind of surprised, like, if at the end of the day, doing what you've suggested is optimal. Like, the fact that Pioneer has already felt as popular as it is right now, and Pioneer is essentially still in open beta status, where, like, people don't really know what the format's going to end up being, I think speaks very loudly about how successful this format's going to be once it matures. I'm just going to go ahead and spend my mana here and veto this. I expect as we move into the new year and we no longer have weekly or bi-weekly ban list updates, the format's given time to settle, this format will continue to just become more and more popular. Having trouble with aggro? Sure, that's a good reason, quite possibly. I actually have a Jeskai control build around submission in the queue for Pioneer that we're going to get to this week, most likely. I'm planning to do a set of marathon streams here in Hoaglandia starting on Saturday. So I'm taking tomorrow off and then planning to do 3 Pioneer decks and 3 Arena decks every single day from Saturday through Friday. I'm playing Red White Knights in Historic. And I've swapped out Embereth Knight for Bone Crusher Janks. I ran to more Simic Nexus decks. Should I be mulling more aggressively for hands? Do you think that making the switch in the sideboard is a more appropriate response? I mean, I don't know. There isn't questions about how do you metagame in formats where we have no metagame data and formats that are underdeveloped at that are just like impossible to answer. Hey, Windowhead, misfire there, Mad Seath. Thanks for the biddies, Windowhead. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday wherever you're at in the world. Never thought I'd make it this long. Can I get a time to celebrate? I got you, Jack Frost. Thanks for the quarter of a year. What do I think Wizards of the Coast should do about blue-white control? I think at a minimum, they should ban this card. At a minimum, this card creates miserable games of Magic and shouldn't be legal. Hey, thanks for the 12 months, Lala the Witch. I appreciate that. And the tier 2 at that. Thanks for keeping me around. You ready for another medium black-white deck submission? It's time to regret lowering the price for Pioneer. I need your submissions. I need submissions. We need 21 Pioneer decks in the queue at a minimum to fill out what I want to do for just the next week. Yeah, I guess we're pretty close. I've got 7 to 20. It's like, we're halfway there. There's like 11 decks in the queue. Do they have Phoenix deck? Are they playing Phoenix with Pyromancer? Pyromancer with Thing in the Ice is weird. Maybe they're playing Pyromancer instead of playing Pyromancer instead of Thing, maybe? I do think that's a more extreme approach they could take, Rudy. I think that banning Big Tef would make it so you feel more obligated to play actual win conditions, which I don't think would be a strictly bad thing. Lots of people are moving to Pyro over Thing. I guess that makes sense if we're living in a world where there's more blue-white control decks than creature decks. It is not Maestro. That build looks sweet, though. But if my deck isn't 100% reactionary, but I put it might get to do something, right? We couldn't have that. That would just be the worst. Pyro is just better against the control decks in general, right? I think I'm just going to play Time Raveler back out here and plus it up. I don't want to, like, plan to, like, dig through time at the end of the turn and then get, like, Spell Pierced or Is It Charmed or Mystic Disputed or something. Gosh, I knew I liked April. She's great. Her takes are always so super reasonable. The discussion on Saffron Olive's London Mulligan thread on the Twitters reminds me what a fundamental difference I have in opinions with a lot of people who do a lot of Magic. Yeah, a lot of Saffron Olive's takes in recent memory to me have really felt very old man yells at cloud. Alright, so now I gotta decide, do I want to jam this search or do I want to hold up Cast Down? I think I'm supposed to hold up Cast Down for this Phoenix in their bin, because I am at 6 here, right? So if they, like, flip a second bird over, I just die. Agent Wintry, thanks for the brand new Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch. You can send that to every month. Thanks for sending it my way this month. They're through half their deck and have only found one bird so far. Dr. Peasy's really good here. Well, let's just draw a Supreme Verdict, shall we? Didn't work out, chat. Didn't work how we wanted it to work. Was I supposed to, if I want to cast down one of these, I could have dug Delving 3 cards. That doesn't really change anything, right? I guess I get to go ahead and just, like, deploy Murderous Rider here. And, like, plus Teferi, and then I can cast something down and not be dead on board. So maybe we still got a shot here. I just discovered Dark Mode on Twitch. My life will never be the same again. Yes. Do yourself a favor and look for all the websites that have... Look at every service that you use for Dark Mode, and then just stop using the services that don't offer it. I'm actually kind of surprised that, like, Twitch doesn't have dark mode as the default. Hey, thanks for the half a year, Hamblin. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Also saves battery life on mobile. That's the real MVP tip. They have 4 cards in their hand, but they didn't bring back the Arclight last turn. Wonder if they could have and just opted not to, because they'd rather get the second Pyromancer deployed. Alright, he gets to dark mode. If you're on the desktop mode, click the upper right, click your icon in the upper right hand corner, and there's a slider. Really worried about a second Phoenix happening here. They're pretty far. Yeah. Well, I guess if they're just casting one, that's not too big of a deal. They have 3 1-mana spells. We're just very dead. So, if they're attacking with the tokens imply that they have a Wild Slash here, is what the implication is, I would assume. Thanks for the quarter of a year, Scottish. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. I assume they have an Izzet Charm or a Wild Slash to finish off this Murderous Rider. Otherwise, this token attack just gained me a life. What? Alright, yeah, sweet. So they're down to 1 card in their hands here. Opponent's been pretty unfortunate. If they find a second Treasure Cruise, we could be in trouble. But outside a second Treasure Cruise, we could maybe be okay here. Sick. Sick. Alright, well, since we're just like the top deck hero, I was gonna bounce this and then dig to try and find it, but now I just get to like play search and then plus. And then being able to instant speed Verdict means that we don't even have to worry about Phoenixes coming back here. Yeah, it's a shame we don't have Settle the Wreckage. Let's get to like teach him not to attack with all. Feels control man. This is one of the nice feels control man moments. Most of our feels control man moments are not in our favor. That was, and again, like, I'm gonna cut these approach the second sons. I'm pretty confident at this point. This is just like the way this format currently is. This is not a card we should be playing. It pains me to say that because control decks that have cards that end the game are definitely my preferred ways to play. But I think our deck is just worse having a win condition versus having Teferi self-tucking and Murderous Rider and Shambling Vent attacking. I think this approach the second sun is just a liability. It's gonna lose us more games than it wins by being clunky. Boarding Chromium so we won't feel as dirty. I mean, he does block Phoenixes, right? Is a 7/7? That's interesting. Hey, Brave Earth. Thank you for the entire year of support. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a wonderful one wherever you are. Apparently, the team SCG events are getting cut down to 14 rounds, and they're cutting to top 4 as opposed to top 8 like they have been. It's an interesting change. Easy mulligan here with no second land. Sand's not great, but it's fine. Yeah, one of my buddies just posted the details for SCG Columbus. And apparently it is 5 rounds day 2, 9 rounds day 1, and a cut to top 4. One of the things I thought was interesting, I tweeted this last night because I was looking at it. DreamHack is going to be running large arena tournaments at every one of their stops this year, and they're doing a cut to top 16 for their single elimination portion, which I think is just excellent. I think the fact that Magic frequently cuts to top 8 is silly. I think 9 rounds in a day is still too many. Really? Listen, back in my day, we played an 11-round standard open with the quarterfinals Saturday night, and then we woke up and played the semis and the finals Saturday morning, and then we played a 10-round standard open, and then we left the event center at 2 a.m. and we drove home and worked our job on Monday. Kids these days, they don't know how good they have it. Trying to change things and make their lives better. Just for reference, it's miserable. Actually the worst. Actually the worst. And that's not even me being facetious. There were literally open weekends where I top 8'd the Legacy Open, and we like left the event center at like 1 or 2 a.m. on Monday, and then like drove 3 or 4 hours or 5 or 6 hours home. It was not healthy or good for anyone involved. There is a reason SCG does not run their events like that anymore. To be fair, on weekends where that would happen, I was frequently bringing home large checks. So like, you know, if I was at the event center till 1 or 2 a.m., it probably meant I made $2,000 or $3,000 on the weekend. Yeah, I guess that's not always strictly true. We often split top 4, which is good for like 1,200. Or so. It's enough to be sleep deprived for a little bit. I did feel bad for the other people in my car, though. Yeah, it's hard on the judges. I remember a number of times where, like, the event hall staff was, like, turning the lights off on people. Because, like, the hall that they had rented, they didn't have it rented till 2 a.m., so Star City had to, like, pay extra so they could actually finish the tournament out. I think the single worst travel experience I ever had was we were at an open in Kansas City, and the forecast changed on when the snow was predicted to hit. And we ended up leaving like Sunday at like noon, just skipping the second day of the tournament. And we drove from Kansas City, Kansas, back to Bloomington, Illinois at 30 miles per hour, tippy top. A drive that's normally 6 hours took us like 12 and a half. It was not a good scene. It was not great. And I was working a gig that didn't have any sort of PTO at the time, so like when we got home at like 5 a.m., I took a shower, took a nap, and went to work at 8 a.m. Listen, I was younger and dumber then, so it was mostly okay. That's not something I would do anymore as I approach my 30th birthday. Maybe I should have taken the hit from the Phoenix so I could veto the Wild Slash on this Teferi. I fly now for those trips. Yep. We also had, the driving wasn't as bad because, I couldn't have vetoed it anyways. The drive wasn't as bad because we ended up taking time off the road. But there was an Indie Open one year where the blizzard was so bad, Indiana shut down the expressways. Like, they had the on-ramps blocked off and they weren't letting people use the expressway. The weather was so bad. And, we ended up getting, a weekend trip to Indy, we didn't get home till Wednesday afternoon. I definitely want Kaya here. The question is, what else would I like with this? Maybe it's just Teferi, the little Teferi. I'm gonna have a hard time resolving this one at this point. Well, I mean, to be fair, the place where you live probably doesn't have opens because nobody would play in them. And like, whenever I hear people who live in other countries especially, that are like, oh, people in the United States are so lucky, all the Magic events are in the United States, I think a lot of people don't realize how far people in the US drive. Like, when I would say there's a lot of opens I could drive to, the closest open to me was a 3-hour drive. And like, we frequently drove 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours to get to a weekend Magic tournament. Yeah, California and the West Coast doesn't have SCG Opens anymore because nobody showed up to play in them. Whenever people talk about the West Coast not getting enough Magic events, it's like, yeah, that's because people don't play in the tournaments there. If you look at the metrics from when they had tournaments there still, the numbers are not good. And like, just to further exemplify, if it was profitable to run large Magic tournaments on the West Coast, Channel Fireball would have done it by now, right? Like, they're based out of the West Coast. There's a reason why nobody else has taken up that idea. All right, so we're gonna Swift end this and then play this Kaya and exile it. It would have been ideal if we could have had Veto mana up here too, but whatevs. Hey, thanks for the half a year, Zajad. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, Kaya's pretty reasonable. There are 0 SCG events in Texas for 2020, yet there are 2 GPs. Yeah, that's because SCG Wizards loses money on a lot of their GP events. Is something you have to realize. Like, Wizards can take a loss on a lot of the Grand Prix they run because they just write it off as their advertising budget. Whereas, like, SCG is trying to break even or turn a profit on the tournaments that they're running. Pretty supremely punished for not having Veto up there. Zarim. A Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you. Welcome to our newest members of Hooglandia. Happy holidays. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I think I'm just passing here with Veto's up. I think I want to just be able to like Treasure Cruise is one of my opponent's avenues back into this game, so I'll just make sure that doesn't happen. Again, I think I'm vetoing almost any draw spell here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and veto this and just like get while the getting is good. Just guaranteed use my mana this turn. Hey, happy birthday to you, Zarim. Hope it's a small one. Yeah, I might try and make it out to some of the Pioneer GPs. Could be fun. I think there's a Pioneer event in, I don't remember. I remember seeing one and I was like, oh, that's relatively close. I could do that. We'll see. I might also try and make it out to one of the DreamHack opens that they have on the schedule. Man, being able to exile Phoenix is great. Play this land tapped and pass. Can hold up Veto / dig through time. I didn't know DreamHack did Magic. Yeah, they've done paper Magic stuff for the last few years. I believe this year is the first year they're doing big arena events though. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just play into a counterspell here. Because if this gets countered, they only have 2 cards. That means Big Tef gets to resolve. How to sub with Prime from mobile. If you're on Android, there should be a button. If you're on iOS to use Prime on mobile, you have to open my Twitch page in your mobile browser and request the desktop version. It's a little awkward, but doable. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep exiling stuff from their bin. Teferi's going to untap 2 lands here, so I can go ahead and play Murderous Rider and still hold up Veto, which is nice. This defends my Planeswalkers nicely. And again, this feels like a good example of why just like Approach the Second Sun isn't really necessary. Are they about to dig? If they have an end step dig, I'm going to be in trouble. Potentially. Hey, thanks for the 3 months, Crazy. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Dig being their last card could definitely get them back into this game, which I don't have Veto up. Why did they pay life off the Shivan Reef? Oh, because they're... Yep. Okay. This is a little punishing. So they can knock Teferi to 1 here. Chart a course. Sure. They can kill Teferi. Oh yeah, so Healy's down tick can kill Teferi, right? That's unfortunate. Now we're like actually in danger. That's a good draw. I'm gonna attack them for 2 and then Supreme Verdict here. Use remove approach. What I place it? I have no idea. Other answers. Yeah, sticky threats are definitely good for them. So their best comeback cards at this point get countered by Dovin's Veto. Past that, we've dealt an incredible amount of clock damage so far this game. So even if they win this game, they have to win the next game as well fairly quickly. Alright, just looking for any removal spell here so we can kill this, then exile it with Kaya. I think I hang tight and just pass back for now. I don't want to deploy Kaya and then have it get killed by this. Hey, Danny, thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Start with this. Brazen Borrower, sure. I think I just passed back. I don't want to lose this Kaya, because I want her to be able to exile this Phoenix once we take it off the board. So on Clockwork, when you resub, sometimes you have to refresh the browser page to get a notification to send through. Because it gives you a chance to send a message with it. Hey, Rag, thanks for the entire year of support. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Phoenix is one of my buy lists, so I'm afraid they're going to ban Digger Cruise. Alright, so their hand right now is Brazen Borrower, plus one card I don't know, so I really need another Supreme Verdict, huh? I'm through two of those, but we're also through half our deck. We're through two digs already. Hey, Mordix, thanks for the 15th. Welcome back. Mad C, thanks for the 16 months. As a heads up for folks, I am going to be off tomorrow, but starting Saturday, we're going to be doing a 7-day streamathon here. So Saturday through the following Friday, I'm planning to be live every single day. Planning to do 3 Pioneer decks and 3 Arena decks every day, Saturday through Friday. Not 24/7, but a lot to say the least. Don't believe in 24-hour streams anymore. I think doing a bunch of 9 and 10-hour streams is more conducive to making better content than trying to kill myself with a 24-hour stream. That's super unfortunate. All right, it's like need verdict now, otherwise we're dead. Hey, you got a Clockwork. Welcome back. Yep. Someone asked what I would recommend replacing Approach with if I were to get rid of it. I think the answer is some more sustained card advantage. I feel like having another 5-mana Teferi would probably be a good idea. I just like the way that game played out. I was really looking for a way to generate card advantage towards the end. And the fact that we never found a search for Azcanta or a Teferi or another dig at the end there is part of the reason why we puttered out. Yeah, make sure you spend that Prime somewhere every month. Lord knows most of us here need a lot more than they do. Hey, Censor, thank you for the very generous tier 3 resub and for the 13 months at that. Happy holidays. Would a Singleton Gearhulk be worth a try? I don't think so. Just because, like, that's not really a sustained source of card advantage. Like, Gearhulk's a way to close the game, but I honestly don't feel like you're rewarded for playing ways to close the game. I think there's a reason why most people aren't playing cards like that in blue-white control right now. What problem do you think you're solving in my deck by adding Oath of Kaya coin flip? What issue do I have that's being corrected? Yeah, you could add a Teferi. On 3, Azcanta might be too many. You could consider adding an Elspeth. 6 mana Elspeth's a card that's like a pseudo sweeper that also like wins the game. So it's like pseudo card advantage in that manner. Yeah, there's that too. I definitely don't know that we have enough targets for Gearhulk to be good. Like, it's like exactly dig through time. Alright, since we have double rest in peace here, we're definitely just like YOLOing the first one out. Try and get that down. Vryn's Prodigy. Nah, Vryn's Prodigy isn't very good. We don't have a ton of cards for him to flash back, and we don't fill our graveyard particularly quickly, and playing a card like Jace Vryn's Prodigy in our main deck gets rid of some of our virtual card advantage. So what I mean by that is, one of the advantages you have by playing a deck like this is generally you blank your opponent's removal spells game 1, and playing a card like Jace Vryn's Prodigy that turns on things like Fatal Push and Wild Slash tends to make your deck worse rather than better, even if that card could otherwise be good. Well, as far as, like, non-land draws go, this one was pretty reasonable. Means we can Veto like a Saheeli this turn. Mystic Sanctuary's looked really clunky and unimpressive in the games that I've seen it play out so far. I don't know that that card's an appealing reason to be in 2 colors, Seth. Without fetch lands to find it like you get in Modern, having to randomly draw that card and like play enough of them to draw them consistently seems real mediocre. That's probably just too slow and clunky, Master Neo. 3 mana, 3+ mana cards that don't impact the board are a hard sell. So we're missing land drops, but we're super ahead on clock. Opponent's got sub 5 minutes, we've got over 12. No, I plan to use this same old standing desk until I either get my new office finished eventually or until this one fully stops working. Actually, if you're paying attention during a second ago when I was raising it up there, you'll note that it, like, stopped halfway and I had to hit the button again. Yeah, there's 25 lands in this deck, but we have Search for Azcanta and Censor to help us hit land drop, so I think 25 is probably okay. Just making sure I can't be added to the book. All right, fair. I'm gonna go ahead and smack their Narset here. What'd they get? They got a Charter Course, sure. That card's less scary with Rest in Peace in play. That's what prompted my question. Yeah, still the same one. Yeah, there's a lot of good options out there for standing desks. I just like. Man, look at that. That's just good, clean deck building right there, chat. That's just good. Some good, clean deck building right there on our part. I don't actually think Drowned Loch is very good in this format. I feel like that'd be a card I might consider cutting too. Not only is it awkward with our own Rest in Peace, but the fact that a lot of the matchups where you want this to be a counterspell are playing Delve cards makes it pretty significantly worse. So, like, not only is it textless when we have our Rest in Peace out here, but, like, it's also bad when your opponent's delving their graveyard. So, hoping to draw Murderous Rider here. Kill this Saheeli. Supreme Verdict's also good to just make them spin their tires. If we hit an untapped land, I'll probably just jam Hero of Dominaria. Sick. With Thoughtseize or Thought Erasure, I don't know. So the last time we played an Esper more controlling deck with Thoughtseize and Thought Erasure, they felt kind of mediocre. And you can watch back on the YouTube channel for an example of us playing that if you didn't catch it live. Now the question is, do I want to discard to hand size, or do I want to fatal push these servos? I think I probably don't care about the servos because there's a good chance Drown can kill the tokens, can't it? Alright, yeah, let's drown a servo. There's a good chance this just dies to Fry next turn anyways. The upside to fatal pushing or holding up stuff is Teferi could maybe not die to Wild Slashes, but it's fine. With the Settle the Wreckage especially too here, I feel like there's a good chance we win this game with clock damage. They have a Chandra here, I'm pretty concerned. But like, just like more creatures aren't a big deal. Yeah, Crackling Drakes, whatever. Unless they have like a... Oh, that's a big deal. Okay, so punished for not holding up the fatal push. Got it. Right? That's the thing that they're able to do. Huh, if we don't hit a land here... Well, should have been more specific. So we're actually just dead to... I guess these aren't both 10/10s. Yeah, it's very... I think maybe I should have fatal pushed both tokens last turn instead of being cheeky with the Drown in the Loch. The problem here is we're dead in 2 to this Crackling Drake if they have a counterspell. I think we're going to see multiple counterspells here. The problem is, I don't have an answer to this. If they burn enough counterspells here, maybe the Settle the Wreckage can kill the Crackling Drake next turn. So, I'm actually going to let this Izzet Charm happen. I'm going to Fatal Push this again in response. Because I feel like they have a Mystic Dispute here or another counterspell. So by using both Fatal Pushes here, it forces my opponent to have 2 more counterspells instead of just 1 more counterspell. Okay, so we're getting hit for 11 here, but we're not dead. And then next turn, I have Settle the Wreckage plus Dovin's Veto up. Supreme Verdict's probably game-winning just based on the clock alone. So they need 2 counterspells here to beat Settle the Wreckage, which they could reasonably have, right? Like, they have 5 cards in their hand, and they've been playing a lot of cantrips and stuff. Yeah, I think we're gonna get double counterspelled here. Feels dead, man. Hopefully they're just doing this to make a 1/1, but I assume we're getting, like, is it Charm Spell Pierce or another Disputed here? All right, so 1 and 2 in matches played. The first one I conceded a match to blue-white control because the blue-white control matchup is so tedious. Let's try one more here. Do I want to try one more? I think I'm just going to be done. I'm just going to give someone a freebie. I feel like I have a good conclusion on this deck, which is that there's a reason why the successful control decks in this format are not playing Approach the Second Sun. And this feels unnecessary here. I definitely think, I don't know what an ideal Esper control deck looks like, but I do think it does not involve this card. We lost games where this was stuck in our hand. In the control matchups, this isn't a good enough finisher or go over the top card anymore just because Dovin's Veto gets to counter it and you can't counter back. Drowned in the Loch was super awkward, not only with our own Rest in Peace, but it's also awkward because in the matches where you want it to be a counterspell, they're frequently delving away their graveyard. So, overall, this one felt like a bit of a miss to me. I feel like if I were to work on Esper control, it definitely would be without Approach, but overall, I'd be kind of surprised if Esper's better than just the straight blue-white where you have, like, better mana and get to play more utility lands like the castles. I mean, Approach isn't a 7-mana, it isn't a 7-mana do-nothing card. Like, that's not accurate. That's not a real description of, like, what Approach the Second Sun is doing. The realistic description of what Approach the Second Sun is doing is that in the games where Approach is winning you the game, you're probably winning the game anyways, just because they don't have anything left that they can do. So the question to, like, is a card like this worth doing what it's doing is how many of the games that this card is winning you would you not be winning anyways? And I think the answer is probably pretty close to 0 based on my experience playing with this deck. And like the other variations, like the amount of times where like you steal a game where you raced with this as opposed to like you were gonna win anyways just because you had Hero of Dominaria and Flip Search for Azcanta are pretty small, I think. Alright, so we got a second Pioneer deck coming up this morning. Up next, we're going to play this 4-color energy deck, which has my favorite energy payoff in it, Glint Sleeve Siphoner. We'll be back in a few minutes. I'm going to hit an ad break while I get set up for this. Thanks for hanging out today, folks.